everyone, how's your week? Mine was pretty good, and I've been super busy. So we've had a few students start doing the Bible Plan app with me, and it's been really cool to hear some feedback, and we've been doing devotionals together, and to hear your perspective on Scripture and your perspective on devotionals, you know, compared to mine is really fun. I get to grow and learn from you, and hopefully you feel the same on the other side. But last week's Scripture challenge was I asked everyone to read Matthew chapters 5 through chapter 7. And it's literally just 3 chapters of the Bible, and it's not really hard to read. It's literally Jesus talking the entire time, which is the best person to learn from. So if you haven't read chapters 5 through 7, I want you to go ahead and pause the video and then read those chapters, because that would be extremely helpful in understanding what the kingdom of heaven is all about. All right? So go ahead, if you haven't read, go ahead and pause, read those chapters, and then come on back and push play again. Couple of updates for you. Summer plans. So again, we've already said that summer camp has been canceled for NTS sake. But right now, we are working on 3 plans, 3 different plans, just in case we have the limit of the amounts of people that are allowed to gather, depending on where that's at. We have 3 different plans on what camp will look like, whether it's a bunch of us churches, youth groups getting together, or if it's just us doing our own thing, if we're going to an actual camp or just doing something here throughout the week. That would be kind of up for grabs right now. So we're planning for all of these. Just be patient in the details. But with that being said, since we are doing some sort of summer camp, we are going to do a fundraiser. All right, so Chevetas, we have a Chevetas coming up. It is actually May 21st. So if you can help work on Chevetas, which obviously we're doing shifts of teams of 10 or fewer workers, that we'll be doing a drive-through Chevetas, similar to how we did last November, where people just drove through the front of the church parking lot, and we met them, collected the money, then gave the food at the second stop. That's sort of the process that we're going to have this time. But again, we need some people that are willing to work in small teams, and if we have enough, I would love to be able to do shifts. So you can raise money, we can raise money for camp, and that would be amazing, so we can pull something off this summer to be together and have some fun. Now don't forget, come and join us, Journey Group, 7 o'clock on Thursday. You have all the links through the Remind app, through our app, the Well app, and you can also find it online. You can also find it in your emails. So today, let's dive right into our first parable. We're in Matthew chapter 13, verses 31 through 32. So it goes like this. He presented another parable to them. This is Jesus talking, saying, "The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, which a man took and sowed in his field. And this is smaller than all other seeds. But when it's full grown, it is larger than the garden plants and becomes a tree, so that the birds of the air come and nest in its branches." So you might be asking, what's this all about? So for example, let's think of an easy example to understand. This idea of growing from a small beginning into this massive empire, okay? I think about Disney, the Disney company. Obviously, Disney is a massive empire. But when Disney started out, Walt Disney moved to Kansas City, Missouri. And he was actually pursuing a career as a newspaper artist. So while he was there, he started working with a local newspaper to do quick commercials for businesses as well. He met up with like this video guy, and they started making quick commercials for businesses to advertise on TV. And this started blooming some new ideas for Walt Disney. So he never would have imagined at that point in time that Disney would become the empire it is right now. And so think about it. From a local newspaper artist, he then moved to Hollywood after going bankrupt in Kansas City, lost all of his money, created a ton of characters for companies to make money, basically making commercials for these random companies. And then eventually he started producing feature films that were shown worldwide, he started making Walt Disney Land in California in the middle of an orange grove. Like, everyone's like, what are you doing in this orange grove? What are you going to make? And he made this magical kingdom that people flock from all over the world to come and see. And then he started building, almost at the same time, Walt Disney World in Central Florida, near where I'm from. And he started building it in the middle of a swamp. People were like, why are you spending tons of money to buy up this huge amounts of land in the middle of the swamp in Florida where no one's living at the time? And he created a theme park for people all over the world to come and see. So then, Disney himself, Walt Disney, passed away shortly after Disney World was built. But then, his family and his followers decided to continue the vision, and now they own ABC, ESPN, Marvel, Star Wars, and other huge production studios. Then they also own streaming services, news outlets, and so much more. Literally, the Disney kingdom is an easy example of how Jesus prophesied the kingdom of heaven growing. So, you might be asking, Ben, are you saying that Disney World is like heaven? No, that's not what I'm saying. It's basically a metaphor to show how this concept of kingdom of heaven has grown. From the very humble beginnings, let's think about it. One God-man from a poor town called Nazareth, who is righteous and holy and blameless, and is like the seed, very, very small, compared to the whole world. He's a very small town, very small human, right? Little baby in a stable, very, very humble beginnings. Then grows to be the biggest tree in all the garden that Jesus was probably actually teaching in. He was probably looking around, hey, I'm in a garden teaching to these people. Here's some garden vegetable plants, like very small, you got. And then you see, oh, now here's a big tree in the garden. What's that? Well, that's actually a mustard tree. So the kingdom of heaven is like this. As opposed to all these little plants, which one has the smallest seed? It's that big tree. All right? So how Disney probably didn't expect to be the Disney empire that it is right now, back when he was in Kansas City, Jesus actually knew his kingdom, the kingdom of heaven, was going to grow enormously. So let's connect the language. The men sowing this mustard seed in the field, in the parable, sounds a whole lot like God sent his son to earth. At least to me it does. To bring forth his kingdom. Now this seed was smaller than all the other seeds. And to me that connects the humble beginnings of Jesus, our king, and his kingdom, as opposed to the rich and wealthy rulers of the world throughout history. Think about it. Normal kings don't start from a stable. Normal kings aren't laid in a feeding trough for horses and cows and sheep. Rather, normal kings are usually born in the palace because their father was the king before them. Or normally they're very wealthy families that they're born into. But not our king, not Jesus. And then, as we continue in the parable, once the mustard tree is an actual tree, it provides safety and security to the birds of the air, and they nest in its branches, as like the idea that the kingdom of heaven is to provide shelter and safety and rest in a home for many.
Good afternoon. I'm your anchor, Ryan Valencourt, and you are watching theWELLstudents News. In British Columbia, 6-year-old Callahan McLaughlin set up a drive-by joke stand to spread joy to his neighbors. And now, for the weather, we have our definitely totally real meteorologist, Sunny Weathers, reporting live.
So we're going to have some weather coming from right here in California, west into the that way direction to New York right here.
Thank you, Sunny. And now, for sports, we have an exclusive interview with Joe Burrow.
Thanks, Ryan. And this week on theWELLstudents Sports, we have an exclusive interview with the #1 overall draft pick out of LSU, Joe Burrow. He's on the line right now. Hi, Joe.
Thanks for having me, Ken.
No problem. And the first question I have for you, Joe, is what have you been doing to train lately now that you've been drafted?
The training that I've been doing is I've been throwing some passes to my little brother. He's in 5th grade, and he's got hands like Gronk.
That's awesome. I hope to see that little guy on the big stage someday. So, what's a future goal you have? I mean, you've been drafted and you've opened up a world of opportunity.
The future goals that I have is to win a Super Bowl for the great city of Cincinnati.
It's an awesome goal. I really hope you're able to achieve that someday. So, during this coronavirus time, I mean, you can't do the same things you usually do. So, what have you been doing to occupy your time and during your free time?
My time off, what I've been doing in my time off is staying in my summer home in Buffalo, New York. It's a lovely city. Love the food, love the chicken wings. And been throwing some passes, working out.
Thanks for your time, Joe. Really special guy. Been drafted into the league. I really hope the greatest for him. Back to you, Ryan.
And now for an update on the Journey Group Instagram challenge. Middle school boys are in 5th place with 25 points. 8th grade girls and middle school girls are tied for 3rd place with 100 points. High school boys are in 2nd place with 200 points, and high school girls are in 1st place with 300 points. This week's challenge is to post and tag at theWELLstudents1 on Instagram with a video of you eating a spoonful of mustard.
So here's the challenge. Quickly, let's recap. We have a parable of the mustard seed, which reminds us that Jesus' kingdom is growing and is huge. Will we be a part of it? Will you trust in Jesus' teaching and rest in Jesus' teachings, like the birds that settle in the branches of the tree, and allow the kingdom of heaven to shelter you and keep you safe? So let's discuss this in Journey Group. I'll see you Thursday at 7.